friends, and welcome back to I've Been There, the podcast where we talk all about real life experiences, tough lessons, and the power of pushing forward. I'm Shelby Ray, and I'm here to help you step into the best version of yourself. And today's episode, it's a big one. It's called Make the Decision. How many times have you felt stuck? You go back and forth, weighing every option, trying to make the right choice. But the more you think about it, the harder it gets. Something needs to change, but the fear of making the wrong decision keeps you frozen in place. Oh, does that sound familiar? I've been there more times than I can count. But let me tell you something I've learned. You will not change until you make a decision. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. The power of making that decision, why we struggle with it so much, and how you can finally stop overthinking and start moving forward. So grab your cup of coffee, a glass of wine, or whatever you need, and let's dive in. Why do we struggle to make decisions? Because we have fear of making the wrong decision. We always wait for that perfect time. We definitely worry about what others think about us or what they're going to think about that decision we've made. And then we're going to talk about how not making a decision is actually a decision, and it's the one that keeps us stuck. I've struggled with making a decision my entire life. I don't understand why it's so hard. I mean, I do, but I don't know. I struggle with this every day. I really do. And it's even the small things that I struggle with. Of course, I've struggled with big decisions like leaving a relationship or changing jobs or making that hard decision for your child where you know that it's in their best interest, it's going to be best for them, but you're going to kind of break their heart in the process. I know if you're a mom, you've been there too. But here's the thing about making a decision. I can't even hardly say the word, it's so hard. But it's powerful. It's freeing, and it gives you clarity. You know why? Because once you make that decision, your energy completely shifts. You stop wasting time. You stop second guessing yourself. You stop running in circles, wondering, should I? Shouldn't I? And then instead, you just start moving forward. I remember when I stayed in a period of time way too long. I knew deep down what I needed to do, but I was scared. I was scared of failing. I was scared of what people would think. And I was scared of making the wrong choice. And guess what? The longer I hesitated, the worse I felt. I wasn't growing. I wasn't happy. I was just stuck. And I was miserable. But the moment I finally said, enough, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make that decision. Everything changed. And it wasn't because I had all the answers. And it wasn't because I had the perfect plan or it was the perfect time. It was because I finally decided. And deciding feels good. It's like a weight lifts off your shoulders. Even if it's scary, at least you know you're moving. And movement is what creates momentum. I waited so long in a job that I ended up being fired. And that was one of the most depressing times of my life. It was the biggest, at the time, I felt like the biggest fail of my life. I had given my all. I had been there 20 plus years and I was good at what I did. But the depression and the anxiety and the sadness and the unhappiness had taken over at such an overwhelming rate that my home life was in shambles. And I thought I was putting on a smile and a happy face and dredging it through the 12-hour shift. And it was all so miserable. And I tell you that story to tell you that even if ultimately you didn't make the final decision, it was kind of made for you, like they made it for me when I was fired. It ended up being the best thing that ever happened. I could have never said that that day. I could have never said it 6 months later. I probably couldn't have said it a year later. But 7 years later, I can say that now. And it is such a blessing in disguise at the moment. It was, like I said, it was freeing. But it was the scariest, one of the scariest things that ever happened in my life because at that moment, I had no idea what my next step was going to be. That's all I had ever known for the last 20 plus years. I had raised my children in that environment with all of those people who I thought at that time were my friends, were my colleagues, were people I could trust. And they were to an extent, but it was a chapter. And making a decision sometimes closes those chapters, and it's a good decision to make because I was free. It's not a fairy tale wish kind of boom, you've been hit on the head with the fairy dust and all of the things are perfect now and, birds are singing and you're like Snow White. That doesn't happen. But you begin to heal, and that is freeing. Because until you close that chapter, you cannot begin to heal. You don't even know what the wounds are until you close that chapter. And I think that was the biggest eye-opener, is that I knew I was unhappy and I knew that I had this anxiety and this depression, and I thought I knew why, but I didn't know all the reasons why. And so when that door closed, I found out all of those reasons, and then I could go to work. I could go to work on myself. I could go to work to make those things better. So think about it. How many times have you wasted months, years, days going back and forth about something? And when you finally decided, you wondered, why didn't I do this sooner? That's the power of making a decision. It clears the way for action, and action is what builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come first. It comes from deciding and doing. So if you've been waiting for that perfect time or right moment, I'm going to tell you, Here's the truth. It doesn't exist. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect moment. The perfect time is when you decide, because your future doesn't start when everything is lined up just right, when you have all those little ducks in a row. It starts the moment you decide to go for it. All right, so now that we know how powerful making a decision is, you got to learn how to actually do it. How do you stop overthinking and finally move forward? So I'm going to break it down. Number one, you got to trust your gut. Most of the time, you already know the answer, right? We already know the answer. It's there, it's sitting there. You already know what you need to do, but you let fear and doubt cloud your judgment. You ask everyone else what they think, hoping someone will tell you what to do. But no one else is living your life. No one else has to deal with the regret of staying stuck. So just trust your gut. You already know the answer. You just have to act on it. Number two, we got to stop waiting for the perfect time. That's the big one. It's the one all of us get caught up in, the I'll do it when. That's a trap. I'll do it when I have the money. I'll do it when I have the time. I'll do it when I have more experience. But life doesn't work that way. There will never be a moment when everything magically lines up. The perfect time is right now, because every day you wait is a day you could have been moving forward. Number three, accept the failure as part of the process. Here's the hard truth. You are going to fail. It's not a might. I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. And every successful person you admire has failed. Every strong woman you look up to have had their moments of doubt, have had their failures, have had the moments where we all sit in the corner or in the closet or in our cars and sob and cry and think the world has come to an end. I can't do it anymore. I just can't anymore. I can't try again. But what is the difference? Those strong women made the decision to keep going. We got out of that car. We dried up our tears. We came out of the closet. We washed our face. We got out of the shower, dried off, and decided, no, I am not a failure. I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to shift my mindset to, I'm not going to ask myself, what if I fail? I'm going to ask myself, what happens when I succeed? And number four is taking action. A decision isn't real until you act on it, right? You can sit around all day saying, I've decided to do this, but if you don't take action, nothing changes. Do you know how many times I have written a to-do list and then absolutely crossed nothing off of that to-do list? And then at the end of the day, wonder why I felt like I didn't get anything done? Because I didn't take action for that to-do list. All right, friend, here's your challenge. What's one decision you've been putting off? Maybe it's starting something new, leaving something behind, or just committing to a goal you've been afraid to chase. Whatever it is, I want you to make that decision today. I want you to write it down. I want you to say it out loud. And then I want you to take action, because nothing changes until you do. If this episode spoke to you, I would love to hear all about it. Send me a message, tag me on social media, or share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, leave a review, hit that follow button, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And remember, you are stronger than your fears, and you are capable of more than you think. Until next time, go make the decision